course, the empowering of the supply drop that Pipe can make use of. I do feel like, you know, Prosy is the centerpiece of this comp, but Portox is going to facilitate with these lollipop drops, and he's dangerous in his own right.
Yeah, gets them into mid and also offers some long-range control. There's a looming threat of having a Leon hypercharge that will take an entire game to fire up, but can get them back in the final moments. Of course, they didn't need it last time. They managed to snag that lead quite early on, and they're looking to threaten that once again. David's going to push forward. Ideally, they don't get back to all the way up, but they're supposed to be comfortable back there. Really, what they're buying time for here is for Naji to get that Gene Super and then be able to play defensively as a result.
Yeah, but their neutral gameplay is pretty weak is the issue. It really depends on supers to find value. Prosy's able to go over the wall here with that super. Back to safety now as another lollipop drop is deployed. Look how heavily they are outranged. David has to try and threaten a potential gadget activation of his own here to force bounty hunters away.
It's understood, right? It's invisible, but this is the pressure that he exerts as this brawler. Into the healing mode, he'll be able to offer some healing to his teammates, but really he's just going for a bit more damage here if anyone gets too close. Still, outrange, going for the speed and a push in. Some Vengeful Spirits will help, and that's a nice tank for David. But Ace0 have their backs against the wall. Naji on desperately low HP. Have to duck into this corner on the right side. On the left side, Galaxy completely boxed in. That's the kill that Bounty Hunters needed, and now they can slowly back away.
That's all they have to do. Push up the map, put Ace0 in a compromising position, apply enough pressure to get a single elimination, and then move into a defensive stance. Now they got themselves the lead. Blue Star still rests with Ace0, but they've got to go and find some stars of their own. Anybody on Bounty Hunters would be enough to put them into the lead. Here's a hypercharged super coming out. Portox is going to have his now generated by the Ruff. He's looking dangerous.
No, but two hypercharges popped at once. It's going to expire just before the game. Lead taken back. We've got to be one kill for Portox. Make it one. No, traded out onto Wesley. A desperate jump forward for Prosy as his teammate expires. Pulled and set equalized. And a very unexpected outcome here for Ace0.
But the mechanism is exactly as you described it. Get a gene pull on a key target and then give that space up. That's all they really had to do. Eventually they found it on Prosy and were able to at least take trades as they retreated across the map there. So well played by Ace0 in the dying seconds of the round.
Bounty Hunters have ample ways to escape this gene pull though, so for Ace0, they're basically trying to exert enough pressure to bait those abilities out and then go for the gene pull. Of course, ideally though, they're going to be using it on defense. Naji just needs time to farm this up. Prosy's also hitting some pretty serious shots here, but the healing, the reliable stuff from David is going to be keeping them alive and healthy. Still, that doesn't change that they've been backed up against the wall, and this is where they've lost the lead every single game so far.
Prosy here looks pretty strong in this position, but the healing is really annoying to try and get through. You've got to connect so many consecutive shots here from the Piper to actually apply kill pressure when the Jaehyung can simply just hit that super, switch over towards the healing song, and have that burst.
Ace0 looking to push out. They just activated the speed. Prosy with a missed homemade recipe. It's just going to go back in cycle. Ace0 still holding on to this lead. No super for Naji is an important consideration. He's got to be close to getting it at this point. But Bounty Hunters have been carefully staying out of range to best avoid feeding it. Here comes a supply drop for Prosy. Combined with the hypercharge is going to be lethal. Has to bail. Don't know whether he entirely needed to. And now he's vulnerable to a pull. But nothing so far from Ace0.
Would have kept Prosy out of the fight because they would have taken a couple hits from those Crow kunais, and the tick damage would have meant they'd have to wait longer until they got healed. Okay, homemade recipe does connect. This is all well and good, but this is only just keeping Ace0 back on the map. They have
the team that they have bested in the home region. So far, they are looking pretty solid against Bounty Hunters, but was traded out blow for blow throughout this bounty set.
I mean, Ace0 really understood their win condition. A lot hinged on hitting these magic hands. And you can see just how powerful it is to have the magic puffs constantly giving that healing over. And of course, the active healing provided by Jaehyung there. Very frustrating, I think, to try and play into this composition if you're Bounty Hunters, because you've got good burst damage, but you don't have enough to force Ace0 into the back corner of the map for that whole round and make it easy pickings. Very nicely drafted. It's not a glamorous comp to round out two healers with a Crow, but it's certainly paid off.
Yeah, just to have it to slow down the enemy progression. Look at how this played out, by the way. Naji only got one kill over here. Now, of course, he's getting pulls for his teammates to finish off the kills, but I think also it reflects that he didn't really get many pulls, and he didn't use them a lot either. Just offered it as defense. And you have Prosy over here on the Piper doing a phenomenal job at picking up the kills, but I think we saw some like wayward gadgets, some of the homemade recipes that didn't strike home at all, and we just need to see the execution improve. Speaking of execution, this is a step up from what I expected to see from Ace Zero. My expectations for Ace Zero going into this were basically what we saw for them at home in mainland China, where they out-comped Toxic Lotus, but they didn't really out-mechanics them. I'm seeing great team play from them, trading out the damage on their supports.
You thought they were like the opposite of Zeta Division, basically.
Yeah.
Fair enough, but look, it's paying off here. The execution was fantastic. We're heading over to double swoosh here. This is the kind of map where you can look forward to a particularly spicy brawler on the Ace Zero side. There's definitely a different take on what the metagame is in mainland China. And Ace Zero have been known to try and play Rosa on this map.
But see, Rosa can be so good. You just have to get the perfect draft. And that's kind of true for every brawler. So, but yes, she can connect the bushes. She can slow people down if she needs. With the proper support also is going to be very, very valuable. I'm hearing some brawlers. I heard an Otis. I heard a Mel.
You know who that is.
Yeah, we know the voice lines out here. Both of those brawlers going to be really, really solid. That's a Meeple also. So we'll just get a vibe on how this is going so far. Really safe, I think, from Ace Zero so far. They have their mid locked in. Also, like something to recover gems in the end game if necessary. Nothing too revealing of what either team is going for so far.
Here is your draft as it is in progress so far. Bounty Hunters know how to read scrim data too. That's a shame. Rosa banned out by them here, alongside the Tara and Grey, who both are very impactful on this map. Chester is the go-to pick for Bounty Hunters here, so having that snatched away is important, but you've got great control brawlers again being drafted, but this is very similar to Bounty Hunter's strategy on Shooting Star.
Yeah, it is. I'm curious how it'll pan out for them. Just really, really safe so far. Picking an anti-tank, getting that Colonel Ruffs, it would ideally be paired up with a hypercharged brawler. That's where it's going to fare best. Also, break open some of the bushes. This is where it's, you know, not underhanded tactics, but the stuff that catches you by surprise. It's revealed.
Brawl stuff.
Yeah, basically. But it's revealed in their bans. We don't want to deal with the Tara. We don't want, like, well, we don't want to pick Tara is what that says, because Tara's a first pick here on Double Swoosh. But Grey, Rosa, basically key components of troll comps. What on earth is Surge doing here? A classic way of countering him is rough, so I'm starting to see the math. Also has a really strong hypercharge, so I vibe with that too. But this is a total curveball.
Surge obviously can really snowball in the weak side of the map, right? You send Surge over to the right side if you're playing from the bottom, and if he can actually start to get some levels in, he's also pretty good at scouting that space because of the way that his shot splits. So good scouting, you know, the kind of thing you'd want to bring, someone like Gene onto the map for, but he has invulnerability frames with this super. He has a gadget that can also reload him and stave off damage. He's pretty hard to fight 1v1. Very good duelist, and obviously can take over the game if he is allowed to. It's feast or famine for Surge most of the time. That's kind of the theme of that brawler. And you're going up against a pretty well-rounded setup, a pretty control-based comp when you've got Penny and also this Meeple mixed in by Ace Zero.
Yeah, basically when I look at this Surge and what it's up against, I see if you don't get a super in the early game, then you're just completely screwed, because that Penny's going to get a turret and you're going to be trapped in your spawn essentially the entire time. David gets really aggressive, gave Prosy just one shot there. It's 1 out of 3 that needs to get to level 2, and once he's there, he is big chillin'. But that was massively aggressive off the beginning. All 4 gems go to Ace Zero, so they've got to be pretty happy about this.
I mean, you just forced a 1v2 if you're David. Prosy had to collapse and give away multiple gems to his opposing mid. To Galaxy, very pleased with that exchange. David, hyper-aggressive, but needs to be able to dodge these initial salvos, otherwise he won't have the help to fight. And Prosy again is going to try and collapse on that direction. He has got that first level. Wesley gets crunched on the left, but Prosy's in position to get a gem here.
Yeah, he gets some gems, also has his level 2. He's exactly where he wants to be, basically. It was going to be very tough for him to rotate lanes also, so it's fortunate for him that David was left to fight a 1v2 on the right side, then expired and gave that bush to Portox. You see Wesley having to retreat around the left side, but he doesn't mind. That's going to be a super to break open the bushes and keep better tabs on where the enemy is. Really what we're waiting for is for Galaxy to get that super. That is when the control is going to ensue, but the interactions have been so amazing for Bounty Hunters so far, leading in terms of gems, in terms of kills. Prosy has level 3. It's just what they need.
Nice collapse here from Prosy yet again to help Portox, who ran headlong into all of Ace Zero. There's a hypercharge ready though for the Mo. Wasn't used earlier for David just to secure that elimination, but it's something you've got to keep an eye out for. These sandbags are pretty effective against the Mo, but Wesley's had to play passive for much of this game. And it's a 2-gem lead here with Prosy sitting on that level 3 upgrade.
And here comes the hypercharge for Prosy. that is what he wanted to see. Naji wins that interaction on the right side, a shrewd lane swap, and the Shrew himself will move over to the left side where he's just hoping to get a super versus Wesley. Prosy will get boxed out, but there's not going to be a positive interaction on the left side as Mo cannot get through those sandbags reliably. They just knew what they had to do. However, it's 10 gems for Bounty Hunters. Either a kill on Wesley or Prosy would reset. Portox stands strong on the right side, 10 seconds to go, and possibly interrupt with one more gem acquired for Ace Zero.
Prosy mindful of the fact that he might have to just throw down and fight with his hypercharge here. Pops the super, gets that level up. Now it's a matter of clearing the salty barrel and getting that countdown going yet again. That's 21 gems and counting. Nachi going to be picked up to the right-hand side. David, though, with the hypercharge super goes in. Prosy doesn't have a super, but he's able to walk away somehow. David pulls up short. Wesley was there to help out his gem carrier, but it's even in terms of those gems. Ace Zero now get ahead, but Nachi's instantly blown up, and it's Galaxy simply ceasing to exist.
David, all the way behind, gets battered by a supply drop and now has to run away, but he's pinched between a rock and a hard place. It's 7 seconds to go. Ace Zero with no utility in sight should not be able to interrupt this. Prosy can just jump away, and Bounty Hunters have taken this one. The Surge strat is viable. I think we need to see a major course correction from Ace Zero. They cannot be sentencing the Mo to be alone on the right lane early game, facing the 1v2 and giving the Surge a level, his first level, his first 3 shots, basically without any problem. The longer that they can draw this out, the better that they can have a chance of getting that penny turret and locking Bounty Hunters into their spawn for most of this game.
We never got to see the Surge hypercharge, but it is terrifying with that increased range on your shots and makes you very good at scouting as well. Prosy's been excellent on this collapse. It's only David in a 1v2 because his opponent's mid is constantly getting involved in those fights. That's Galaxy able to pick Prosy off across the map. David is too low with the Fat Splatter in his way. He can't take map control. This functionally denies those gems from mid as Portox is controlling that space beautifully.
Just the greed gleaming in his eyes as he went for all of those gems, only to be punished by 2 enemy brawlers lurking in those bushes. See how delicately Ace Zero are treating Prosy right now. They just don't want to get near him, but that works out excellently. It diverts the attention to the other lanes where they're going to get eaten alive. Portox really needs to heal up on this right side. There's potential for him to get taken down by David. Really, really easy. Popped a hypercharge too. Total waste of an ability, and that's going to come back to hurt him.
Yeah, that super there for Prosy is going to allow him to get out of the mansion of Meeple. You can check out any time you like. You can never leave. David, you're going to throw down that super, though. It's going to be a bit of a nuisance here. If you can get that dive onto Prosy, who is low, but you've got to respect this Otis, especially the mute button. To David, just going to stay in the poke game now. Going to try and dive in. Prosy tries to collapse here, but it's a clean win for the Mo. And Prosy now is under pressure.
Everyone boxed out. Perfect opportunity for Ace Zero to set up. Whoa, that's an extremely aggressive turret. They worked so long to get in. Prosy should be able to tap it, but he's focused on Galaxy and getting his hypercharge. Wesley is also able to break down a wall if he so desires. It'll be a takedown on Galaxy, and now they've surrendered a lot of control with this hyper-aggressive turret, and it didn't really do too much for them. Little bitty mistakes now from Ace Zero are going to start to catch up to them.
Portox in trouble, though. That Meeple super means it's a deterministic result on the right of the map. Prosy forced to give a little bit of space now. That is going to put Ace Zero up 2 more gems now. It's only a 1 gem game. Prosy trying to put some pressure down, but it's a gem carry and it's loose. Portox has to step up in his stead. He's got a super ready, but this is not necessarily who Bounty Hunters want to be carrying the Horde.
No, this one should be in Ace Zero's back pocket. They have the hypercharge for Penny. That's the win condition right there. David has a hypercharge as well. And Bounty Hunters are so weak on utility, they don't have anything. 10 seconds to go. It's going to take a miracle at this point. David gets one. Portox has the mute, but can't hit it, in fact, onto David. Can't even get the kill either. Wesley, the one-man army on the left side, not even close to Naji. Yet another tied set.
That's 2 games in which we can see the strengths of these compositions shine, albeit at pretty different times. You can see how dangerous it is if the Surge just can't really run away with the game, can't be fed supers by the roughs, can't use that jump to escape from every mansion and Meeple. I'm going to say Portox looked incredible early in the round, getting his team up 6 gems to 0, but they could not maintain that lead.
Well, maybe Portox rotating over to the left side should help. He's been on the right side most of this time. Fat Splatter is really useful for scouting out the kind of bad side, the harder side of the map to play, but he'll be using it to get pressure on the gem carrier early on. Could not have worked worse, but I guess you just got to try something sometimes. And he's coming up on a pretty uncontested right side. Hasn't found David just yet. Here comes the Mansions of Meeple, also going to box out Prosy and break some of those bushes. That's very useful for seeing when those lane rotations are happening. Get a good visual on when the gem carries pushing forward. Really easy take for David without giving too much supercharge to Surge. Meanwhile, pay attention to Galaxy, who's working very hard to get his turret since that was the win condition for them in game 2.
It is huge. Nagi hasn't actually opted to pick up any of these gems, so Prozzy rather brazenly just steps up into mid, and this will put Bounty Hunters up by a significant amount. If Portox gets more space here, there's a chance for Prozzy to take some of the red side gems too.
It's possible. He's going to have to wrap around the right side, basically, and fighting a 1v2 over here will be tough. David, at least, doesn't have any utility right now, doesn't have a super, so it should be made easier. They're going to double team him on the right side. That's a mute, but David still remains alive. Just going to have to lay low on the right side so he can heal up. They catch Prozzy, who is as vulnerable as can be. All 7 gems and no jump to speak of. If there's a solid Mo super in here, that could be all of the gems headed over to Ace Zero.
He is slow, he is short-ranged. He at least had the gadget to stave off some of that damage, but the reload doesn't do much for you when your shots are pretty unconvincing in terms of impact. Still, it's a 3-gem lead. Despite this, Prozzy's been able to just eke out those small advantages over the course of the game, but this is where it might get blown open. David with another super, wins that right side lane. Now, he's determined not to let Bounty Hunters back in the map, and even Galaxy's taking space on the left.
Okay, Ace Zero on these bushes. Here comes a hypercharge. Wesley just walking forward, holding W and moving, shooting at the same time. On the right side, won't really get that much. Has a bit of a foothold of control thanks to some of these sandbags. Prozzy rotating backwards with all 10 gems and still only level 1. He's incredibly vulnerable, but thankfully his team has completely surrounded Ace Zero. They managed to tie up 10-10 right now, but still just not looking good on utility. They need a Mo forward. Naji is super low on HP, and he's gonna have to hang back and heal up.
Okay, we have the map opened up a little bit on the right-hand side. Early warning now as Ace Zero will be shown, trying to move it down the right. Naji's got a super at the ready, can help with that mid control. That 1 gem here, Prozzy knows he needs to take it, but he's done no damage this round at all. And he's stuck inside this mantle without a super. This could be dangerous. Use the gadget to get rid of the early damage, and Portox forces Naji back. It's a stay of execution for Prozzy, and David is dangerously low.
Oh, David needs to heal up before he can push in, and he has to push in. There's no other way around it. They do manage to tie up this gem count, but really David needs to be a serious threat. He has 10 gems, and he knows that he can't just trade and sacrifice himself. He puts himself in this position anyway. There's the box. Naji should be able to get the skill. No, he's just out of range, but expires inside of that penny attack. Now, Portox rotating backwards with 14 gems. Ace Zero have to push in now.
They've got to go for it. This is a huge lead now for Bounty Hunters. Those 2 gems on Wesley is all the difference. They're going to attempt to come forward. Prozzy had an upgrade, though, and is able to get strong enough. He's not carrying any gems as well. There is no chance for Ace Zero to get Portox out of the game. And so, we've got ourselves a tied series. Bounty Hunters are to step up on gem grab.
Expect nothing less than that in such a 50-50 matchup. It is the same map, the same comp, and played 3 separate ways. First, you saw Surge given a lot of utility early on. Penny doesn't really get the turret up, and so it's a win for Bounty Hunters as a result of that. And then you see Penny completely dominate with her turret. Admittedly, way too aggressive in game number 2, but they managed to get a hypercharge, and it was wraps from there. And then you saw Surge get 0 levels. Penny gets her turret, a hypercharge 1, in fact, and still, it's possible for Surge to walk around just with the proper rotations and get all of those gems, all 10, and play out that tie game to the very end. This has to be handed to Portox and Wesley, these 2 teammates who were pretty irrelevant in the South American scene before Portox joined. You know, he was a star player of the SKC last year and helped elevate this squad, bring them to international land, and these 2 players are pulling their own weight now.
There weren't a lot of mistakes really made over the course of that set. It's pretty solid Brawl stars here, so it came down to those final moments and just those small adaptations. Because he spent so much of that last round doing no damage whatsoever. Honestly, just not being very strong. Stuck at level 1 because Ace Zero were able to keep him quiet. But I couldn't say the same for Portox, who sometimes was just running it down. Bro was just empty on that right side of the map, hitting the mute. It's very hard to tell if you're about to be put in a 1v2 scenario with the enemy mid, because they're hidden at the top of the map a lot of the time. So it's a difficult role to play, that quote-unquote weak side of the map, but Otis is one of the best at it.
He's a safe brawler. He's just good in the meta right now. He is worthy of being picked early on in the draft and safe for these guys to lean on in such a close match where the stakes are remarkably high. But this is where I'd expect both teams to put the majority of their preparation. I mean, your other opponent is humble, okay? You kind of, you know, the hot take here, kind of a waste of time to prep against them. You should basically accept that you're probably going to lose to Humble and that you have a better chance of advancing on to day 3.
You just hedge your bets on this game, really, right?
Basically, yeah, this one match right here, put all of your prep here. Early picks here on Ring of Fire, Crow reigns supreme. I see that Finks is wide open and has not been selected, so a curious one for me and a very viable option.
Really powerful brawler on this map, but actually in the hands of A0, they've not had the best win rate over the last week with Brawly. It's like a 40% with Finks, so it's a bit of a no-brainer. This is obviously the kind of map where Finks' super overlays perfectly. You know, we should talk about the Mina being banned out here. I think Ems is also really frequently targeted, but there's that Finks getting snapped up relatively early on. Some of these like Buffy Brawlers obviously quite powerful. We're still seeing like the old Draco strap being thrown in here as well, just the run it down and have staying power, use that last stand gadget. But yeah, with Collect globally banned, that's not going to be an option. I love the alley here. This really does, this hedges you into a pretty aggressive approach. Your alley player has to be constantly trying to target the back bushes of your opponents.
Ali's also a pretty high execution brawler. She plays quite similarly to Mortis in terms of like assassination capabilities, but it is remarkably more difficult to play because there's so much more going on basically. I won't even waste the time of explaining it. Just watch Naji do a great job with it. Now, on the 4-5 turn, you have to have something that's viable in close range. I think Crow pretty much already fulfills that. You're looking for something to... You're kidding me.
Yes! Run it down! I mean, I like this look here as well. I also think that at the end of the day, like, it's not a glamorous role to play as the Draco, but with that hypercharge, you can clear the hot zone straight away. So that's a really important power play moment. You can also dive into those enemy bushes and try and at least go like 1-for-1, like trade, use that last stand to push on in. There were times where like we used to see Draco used in order to like counter like Hank on this map with the other star power, the knockup one that makes it vulnerable, but I think rounding out here with Chester makes a lot of sense. It gives you that anti-tank just in case that 5-6 turn sees a tank randomly drafted, but Sirius is the round out here for A0.
And the insta-lock too. I feel like this is a pretty straightforward selection where, look, you're gonna have a Draco running at you constantly, and you gotta think about which shadows you're getting also. Something that's healthy and does a bunch of damage at like, you know, not really mid-range, but not exactly short range either for Draco, is a good shadow to have on your side. No piercing brawlers here. Just Stuff, whose shots expire as soon as they hit a target. Ace0, I trust in this series last selection, but I see the Draco mentality. He has unique interaction into Finks with his super, where you're basically able to spam all your like dragon projectiles into there, and you don't get as much value out of the Finks. It's an early victory for the trio on Bounty Hunters over mid. Galaxy isn't able to isolate a target, and that really hurts as an assassin.
Yeah, the grouping is nice. We can see how scary these shadows are. That is a real pain. David, though, ends up having to overextend in order to do this, but here's the alley. Galaxy is looking pretty scary, but Bounty Hunters have spent most of this round sat out on the point.
Ace0 backed all the way up into their spawn. I don't really get why Naji decided to walk all the way down mid and basically die for no reason away from his team. Hopefully they're able to course correct here with a kill for Galaxy on the left side in the 1v1. That's what they need, really. That's what they need Ali to be able to do, is isolate these side lanes. Portox is going to kind of hang out on the left side now, sort of also rotate over towards Galaxy. He's thinking about it, basically, but he's such a threat here. Look at the dodges from Portox. Eventually does die at the hands of this Finks, but he's been a pretty solid stronghold of sustain over here.
These Crow shadows are really annoying for Bounty Hunters because they do carry the on-hits that Crow himself does, which is the ticking poison damage, the delay in healing. It's really hard to have that staying power if you can't regenerate.
It's true. We'll see if they're able to manifest some more control off of it. For now, it belongs to Bounty Hunters. Prosy exactly in that nook that he wants it. David seizing an opportunity to get some more Draco shadows fired up. Everyone from Bounty Hunters has to back up now, but since the shades have been clear, they can go for a push, and now Prosy trying to wrap around behind. No, all being absorbed by those shades, trying to get in close range versus Naji, but he ran out of ammunition, and Portox can't get the kill either. It's fine. All he needs is to control. Hypercharge popped by Wesley is going to be loads and loads of damage, but what they need here is survival. Prosy tries to push forward, but he's just by himself. Naji and David need a combined fire to take him down. Galaxy does his best, but Draco is just so beefy on the HP front.
Yeah, we talked about it. He can just int. It doesn't matter. You don't even need to get kills. There's one point where he pushes into the enemy bushes with last stand up, still pulls up short, but at the space that Draco made for his teammates, is what is important here. That is getting you close to the victory. You can see it's the same value proposition as Pam into the Finks. Your shot, like you mentioned, spreads and sprays so many individual projectiles that even if they're slowed, you can't stand anywhere safely. Crow also does the same thing.
Crow just slowing stuff down, whether there's a Fink super or not. Look at this interaction on the left side with Prosy doing his best. Oh, actually getting the piercing through to David, but can't win that interaction. That's going to be irritating for... Whoa, hold up. That was a completely wayward shot from Portox, but it ended up finding its target at max distance. Worked out pretty well for Bounty Hunters to stagger a couple of brawlers back to it. Their respawn. Galaxy also going down. I don't know, inting to reset. David, same thing for him. This is a remarkable lead for Bounty Hunters, leading by 50% now.
You can see that, yeah, the Crow poison is a problem. Naki just got impatient, kept firing, didn't take his time to regen, and was like 100 HP when he ended up getting picked off. These Shadows aren't really doing enough here for A0 for the time being. Prosy with a super, having to chase David down for the most part. It's going to be Galaxy at least finding Portox, and Wesley's not in a safe place, but there is a little nook carved here on the top left by Prosy that you can occupy. Wesley not able to walk away. It's been a little minute since Bounty Hunters have had point time, but Portox will come and earn some percentage.
Now he's gonna have to back away as well. All those shots just going into these shades. Ace0 have to square up for this next assault inwards. Galaxy just trying to isolate a target also. Coming all the way around. Prosy should be able to deal with him quite handily, but Galaxy doesn't want to take that 1v1 just to sort of act as a deterrent, basically. Going for Portox, interestingly. Didn't get the 3-shot. The first shot didn't find Portox, and that's going to be a bit irritating, but not really the end of all of this. A couple of hypercharges available now for Ace0. They can hold on here. They just can't die even once. A single hypercharged Draco super could be their undoing.
And he's earned it. Prosy now is going to have extremely increased range off this super, and the entire point is going to be covered with flames. There's A0 forced off entirely. Galaxy's going to try and dive into the backline, but 1v3, those are some long odds, folks. Another set snapped up by South America's #1.
This is so back and forth between Bounty Hunters and Ace0 because in one moment it looks like Ace0, wow, you know, this is why they beat Toxic Lotus every single time they faced in mainland China, because they're just better, and whoa, they've corrected the whole mechanics thing. But now we come to Ring of Fire, and I see a lot of running down mid solo. I see Finks running down mid solo. I see Galaxy inting instead of retreating back to spawn, and I just don't really get it so much. Also, you have to acknowledge that the strength that Ace0 really boasts is their draft, and I see them being out-drafted here. You're given this Finks that Bounty Hunters are really cool with because they're just going to run a Draco into it.
And now, like, I hear a lot of people sort of say, oh, well, A0, like, they don't have a lot of LAN experience, right? No, they don't have a lot of international LAN experience.
That's true.
But many of the qualifiers in mainland China culminate in a LAN. So they do get the opportunity to play under some of these match conditions, right? It's actually, you know, on the Bounty Hunter side where that is more limited, that LAN exposure, right, is less frequent. I think a quick look at the stats should tell you much of the story here, right? Galaxy is able to get in and find those eliminations, and David is constantly applying pressure. It's suffocating to play against the Sirius. But you've got a number of brawlers who can, you know, can sort of cleave through. You've obviously got that Draco who with super can sort of, you know, burn you down and cut through with that lance. So I think the Sirius was a heads-up pick, but not quite enough there.
I think it's the obvious pick, like the thing that you're supposed to go for, so they went for it. Same for Sirius, basically. It's just saying, please, pick me, pick me, pick me, because I'm like the best brawler in the game right now, so you just kind of have to go for it. As a last pick, by the way, I feel like last pick generally is just reserved for something that's going to counter the entire enemy team, something intelligent, something shrewd, and it's not really what I saw with Sirius. But if I had to isolate an issue there, it was the early alley pick. This time we see an early assassin pick, but this makes a lot of sense here on Safe Zone. There's some first pick worthy brawlers, and Kaze, does she always fall into that first pick? You know, it's quite subjective, but she is a win condition here. She provides so much aggression. With her ability to swap forms, she gets a lot of mobility. Also, reliable safe damage in her Geisha form, where she throws down like a hypercharge or a super onto the safe, and this brawler that typically creates a close range aggression and has a lot of movement is able to do stuff at range.
Yeah, that's the edge of the fan storm. Does ticking damage. It's quite obnoxious. It's not a huge amount of damage, but it's still significant. I like the Melody being picked up here. Melody versus Kaze is like a pretty common head-to-head that you sort of see play out. I think the idea is that Melody's supposed to win that, especially when she can have the shield, but it is conditional, right? You might feel like you have the edge, but It will come down to that execution. Ruffs makes total sense to round out with, especially if you're trying to feed hypercharges. For Melody, it's especially devastating. And where Melody has the edge over Kaze is that her burst damage on the safe is extremely high once she has the critical mass of music notes orbiting her.
Yeah, and you're going to get that on your way there also, because there's going to be someone dedicated to defense versus you on that save. Now, there's some hard defense ways of responding to this Melody, so we'll see if we see any of the strongest CC in the game come out. You just have to be thinking about, like, okay, am I going to be viable against, like, Colonel Ruffs? Amber should be able to just spray and pray, hold down versus this Melody. I trust in the Amber, and it'll also pierce through those Ruffs bags, so I think it's a fairly good interaction here. The only issue is it's not as reliable safe damage. You're going hard into control here.
I wonder if there's like a last pick shade potential here for our bounty hunters squad. Now to really put pressure down on this Amber, for example. Edgar getting picked up. All right, so you have some serious safe potential. You can dive, you have a self-shield, and the ball is going to round up the setup here for bounty hunters. Someone again who as well can run it down. These two teams might end up in a bit of a base race here, which is going to be pretty hard to follow.
I anticipate it. I think Colonel Ruffs may struggle on the damage front when it comes to defense, because he's going to be fighting against a couple of brawlers that both have piercing, so the sandbags aren't going to do that much, unless like maybe Kaze's in the assassin form, but you're going to have a two-pronged push here. Edgar with like incredible mobility, now that he's gotten sort of the rework to his gadget with the buffies coming in for him, he will be using that scarf to catapult himself across the entire map. Now, there are defensive capabilities for these brawlers, so Bull is able to play as a defender, but ideally he gets to the enemy side where he's going to overwhelm this Amber 100%. He'll get a super for free, then heal up with the T-Bone Injector, easy peasy.
What do you think about the Edge versus Melody matchup? Warthog's able to win that pretty comfortably here and find some very good damage going 2 for 1.
Yeah, I trust in this Melody matchup, personally. I just think it has so much more mobility, basically. But I think it's also subjective. You'll get competing opinions on this one. That's just what I'm putting forth.
Meteor Storm comes down, Frozzy able to get a bit of space, but here comes David. Wants to threaten the Bull. Not exactly the kind of target you want to find yourself going up against there. Frozzy gets the gadget as well. Will be traded out. Nate0 have a slim lead on account of the fact that bounty hunters have not yet had a chance to scratch their safe.
Just waiting for Portox to find his dash through. Of course, working for that gadget first. Slips past Galaxy, who now has to rotate back for defense. An attempt to push forward for Frozzy, which should have basically been rotated towards defense. Najee and David also going to expire in enemy territory. By the looks of things, no. Najee actually goes back to mid to try and survive. Really intelligent plays here for Ace0, where they're not full committing on this push in and trying to go one stage at a time. Survive at mid, make that their line of scrimmage, and then launch their attacks from there.
A lot of hype is being popped here, and in comes David. Portox has to respect this amount of damage, and he just vaporizes. Big damage on the safe here from the Edgar, and Nachi also turns up to assist. Second knock here for Ace0. And now we see the Melody trying to die, trying to match this level of damage with that hypercharge. That is a lot of music notes going, and that safe is getting chunked down bit by bit, but bounty hunters are on their last knock.
Was it worth it? I guess so. Ace0 didn't even get their safe cracked open a moment ago. Frozzy also, though, does get a few bullets into it, and now Ace0 are only ahead by a single tempo lead. Portox trying to sneak around the right side. Of course, Najee with his dash forward. I don't think that's exactly what he wanted. We'll see if he's able to wrap around the left side. David and Najee both looking for that ability. Najee in for the final one. It's not going to be enough damage from that super. It's going to take one more push from Ace0.
But bounty hunters are in no position to go on the aggressive here. Galaxy waiting for Portox to try and dash at him. Here comes Frozzy with a dive. He does get rid of the Amber, but David's going to push on the right-hand side. You've got to respect the Edgar damage. Makes use of the gadget. Gets on the safe. 1% of that would be enough. And Ace0 come up with the goods in a race that ends up coming pretty darn close. Apparently everyone just hits hypercharge and then does 60% of the safe's health.
Hypercharge stars, man, that is why we have the shields on the safe now, because these brawlers do so much damage now, and you can fit numerous of them. You can just cram them into a single comp. Look at bounty hunters running both Bull and Melody at the same time, and a measly Ruffs for defense, and then Ace0 are running both of their aggros as well, melee brawlers that do ridiculous damage to the safe. David's going to go for this early game interaction versus Portox. It brings this to a 3v2. Don't really want to take it versus Frozzy. Najee's looking for the kill on Wesley. Looks good. David also completely ignored because bounty hunters, since their opening, Galaxy overextended, and Bounty Hunters break past them for the initial crack on the stage.
It's not like Wesley's going to be able to fight this Edgar, though, is he? Under extreme pressure, and here comes Galaxy to assist. Both safes now down below 50%. Portox is looking for a chance to go back to work on that one. There's a knockdown to 25. It's going to be a photo finish, folks. A0 safe ticking down. The Bounty Hunters go all in to even up the set.
It's that and a match point for Bounty Hunters. Contrary to many of our expectations up here, I think Arc was the only one to predict Bounty Hunters to take this one. I felt like it was an Ace0 type of day. I felt like I was going to have the hot take up here, personally. The #1 team from a region that has historically underperformed, but brought us quite the showing at Brawl Cup last year. Their regional rivals, of course, of Ace0, Toxic Lotus taking top 4 in 2025. Now Ace0 could find themselves falling out of groups. They're still humble to face, but I think we have a premonition of how that one's going to go.
Yeah, we got an idea at the very least. Concept of a plan, if you will. Is it dive onto the safe here? Portox on defense, but can't prevent his safe from going to the first knock zone. Okay, Gadget there for Galaxy is going to keep Ace0 safe above 75%. That is significant.
Ace0 looking for a way of defending Portox. They're going to rotate Galaxy backwards. It's going to be irritating to deal with, but Galaxy rotates back intelligently. Then forward on the side of Bounty Hunters, they're handily able to deal with this defense as David sacrifices himself for an attempt at save damage. It's tied 74-74 at the moment. Bounty Hunters look to spring into action very soon here. Prosy with his super is basically waiting for Naji or David to make the first move so he can push in uncontested.
Yeah, here's the gadget used by David. It's going to allow him to close the gap. Diving on in. Just safe damage for the time being. Wesley appropriately respecting the Edgar. Now Fanstorm is going to give David a way out of there. And it ticks the safe down as well. 49 plays 47. It's close, but Bounty Hunters have the slim lead here. David trying to do something about it, but finds himself face to face with the bull.
Time for Galaxy and Naji to defend this, but Portox is so healthy, going to take down that entire shield, and Galaxy finds himself low on health. At least he does have this hypercharged super down. Prosy would be well advised to go all the way around it. Bounty Hunter's going to play defense around this. Prosy isn't able to break through that wall and expires with his hypercharge in hand. It's time to defend. Ace0 rotate all the way backwards. Portox dealt with. It's going to be a close one, but 8% is almost impossible to come back from.
Yeah, it's brutal. David trying to come forward. Gadget connects. Wesley does capitulate, but the rest of Bounty Hunters are going for the safe. 4% and counting. Prosy just needs to get through Nagi, but he can't. Bounty Hunters now have a chance at this. 22% and counting. Nagi with a hypercharge ready, but how's he supposed to make use of it?
He's just trying to deal ticking damage to the enemy side, but Wesley has the lineup. Is it going to be enough?
There you have it, folks. Bounty Hunters Alu. Avoid the headsman's axe and stay alive here at the Brawl Cup.
Contrary to expectations, #1 in South America, that is their lifeline right there. In all likelihood, Humble should sweep through this round robin stage. They did get bested in a single set, but it was by Bounty Hunters. What can Ace0 possibly offer up against them in the next one?
Couple of little things there. I feel those fan storms are a little short, not actually connecting onto the safe with the edge of it there. That's something that you've really got to get used to. This is going to be an important moment here for Bounty Hunters. They get that win, they prove that they can do it. Let's head down to Barney and crew on the stage to get some thoughts from Bounty Hunters Alu.
Bounty Hunters stay alive in the Brawl Cup. Obviously, we have one more match to go down in Group A, but for now, congratulations. That was arguably the most important match of the year so far for you guys. How was it? Did the stakes feel higher coming into this match?
Bueno, este ha sido el partido más importante para vosotros. ¿Cómo os habéis encontrado? Si habéis sentido la presión de ser un partido muy importante para la fase de grupos.
Preparamos mucho el partido ayer contra Humble. Lamentablemente no se dio. Seba se encargó totalmente del partido de Ace0 y drafteamos muy bien y creo que pudimos jugar un poco mejor, pudimos terminar el partido en casa, pero bueno, al final ganamos, se dieron las cosas.
We felt very good. We practiced a lot yesterday. Sebas has done an amazing job at the prep, but we think we can play better.
Okay, and it can only go up from here. Now, getting onto this stage as well and preparing for a team like Ace0 has got to be difficult. They play in a different region. How was preparation for that? Did you manage to scrim with them leading into today, or did you go in blind?
Bueno, son un equipo de otra región. ¿Cómo os habéis preparado para ella? ¿Habéis llegado pues, con los ojos ciegos sin saber? ¿O habéis podido practicar estos días que habéis estado aquí en Berlín?
Un poco sin saber, las scrims contra Toxic Lotus medio que nos ayudaron para saber cómo es el meta en China, pero ellos picaban muy diferente. O sea, los picks que jugaron hoy día fueron un poco raros, pero bueno, le surgen.
So our scrims against Toxic Lotus have been a good help. But coming from another region, we were a bit blind. Their picks were a bit out of the ordinary, but we were able to come across.
Well, like we've already said, staying alive in the competition for now in the Brawl Cup. Make some noise one more time for Bounty Hunters!
Such an intense match, super close in the end. And Bounty Hunters make it a 1-1 situation. A0's draft, honestly, I liked it a tad bit better. Is that just because it looked closer to an EMEA draft, or?
We were discussing that, and there were some very familiar ideas from EMEA, and that's what we've been so impressed with the Chinese mainland region over the years, is how they kind of adapted when draft became more prevalent in Brawl esports, and they have been taking a lot of hints from some of the best regions around.
Yeah, there's no question about it. You can see Ace0 being inspired, also having to come into the international game, right, rather than the different version that they play in mainland China, and they had to borrow the ideas, right, because they're just like, you know, a little bit behind on terms of the meta. So I love to see them drawing from the region that is sort of leading the world right now alongside East Asia. But the mechanics need to be applied differently, basically. That is where we see them trailing behind. They're fresher faces, so it only comes naturally.
Now we see the stats from the last set as well. Wesley and Galaxy, the two MVPs for their respective teams. Anything that sticks out to you, Ark, in this specific draft or in the entire series?
Well, in that final set, we were chatting about that final moment where actually, you know, A0 could have got that damage of which they needed, but they kind of didn't use the Fist of the Brawl Star, and they had the Hypercharge. I mean, that's like an ability which can secure a double kill. There was 25% left in that save to be able to obtain. So I kind of questioned that Fanstorm towards the end, but going back a step, double swoosh, that surge pick. You know, I really wish I'd mentioned it going into the match, but that is a sleeper pick. Big time for Portox. But looking back at the draft, the problem was they were picking it into the meeple that was already predefined. You can't pick comfort picks into the problem. And Portox was like on that surge, on that third game, into the final 5 seconds. I mean, I've never seen a bigger backpack needed by teammates to keep him alive. He had no range against the meeple, super slow. I don't know how they won that set.
Props to A0 there to adapt to the playstyle of their opponents and just make it so the Surge never even gets his second stage. Really well played by them, and it still wasn't enough. Bounty Hunter somehow turned around the set and won that one in the end.
Yeah, that was really interesting to witness. I think I mentioned that, look, this is Wesley and Portox, the players that have been basically picked up here, the ones that in the past have not had such decorated records, providing the support from mid, which I feel like has been a major level up for these individual players and reflective of that this is truly a new stage of their careers in Brawl Stars.
Overall, it was really close. We had some back and forth in gem grab, both of them reaching the 10 gem count. Also now in Heist, quite close. A0 doesn't quite manage to beat Bounty Hunters, and now if they want to stay in contention to make it through to day 3, they need to beat Humble.
Yeah, and let's be honest, that's no easy feat, but we know that Humble can bleed. And we know that they can bleed at a time that you are least expecting it. That would be kind of poetic to happen in the group stages of Brawl Cup, considering that this time last year, they were there winning the whole thing. So we were discussing about how A0 have got some EMEA-style drafts up their sleeve. This would be the perfect time to bring them out.
I think so. When I look also at just like how Humble approached that very first match, they're playing extremely safe. I think that is a big part of why Bounty Hunters were able to take that match right there, because it's so predictable. You're going to play roughs and like something very consistent, basically. That is, I think, quite straightforward to outdraft. The question is there, though, what is the approach to preparation? Have we decided that it's a complete waste of time to even try to take down Humble, and their best shot is against Bounty Hunters?
I mean, it's not a waste of time. It's actually a huge upset and the storyline that we could follow along for the next few days. Let's see if Humble is going to do it again. They already beat Bounty Hunters. Now they're up against A0, and they really need to beat Humble now. They're already 0-1 down. If they beat Humble, we actually have a three-way tie in this group. An interesting situation, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We already discussed Humble. Again, 2025 World Cup champions. They're the defenders of that title, and they really want to take it away as well. Also, look in the crowd here. Berlin, you're happy. Humble is coming back on stage. You're two German players.
Biased crowd, for sure.
Ihr seid ein bisschen voreingenommen, habe ich das Gefühl, für Humble, aber das ist schon okay. After all, they are Germans, so they are a bit biased. But yeah, you all look lovely, so it's okay. You can do what you want.
But none of that here on the desk.
Of course
Completely
not.
unbiased cast here for sure. Humble, of course, you know, said in Semantic at the end of that match that dropping the set was not the plan. Well, I think at this stage of the competition, they can't afford to drop many more. I think that, you know, as Kenny rightly said when he came onto the desk, that, you know, in the Brawl Cup last year, they dropped 2 sets throughout the entirety of that event, which is absolutely insane. But I feel like, to be honest, A0 put up a fantastic showing at this stage for a team that we didn't necessarily know what to expect coming in, and their decision making in terms of drops. They've really impressed me so far. I think there is a world in which this could be possible.
Last year, we talked a lot about Toxic Lotus coming in as a dark horse, taking down some really insane good teams, and we didn't really know what to expect from the region. Now, in the same position here, A0, are they better than 2025 Toxic Lotus ready?
It depends on what aspect you're talking about, because even like in their home region, you can tell what the strengths of these individual teams are. For Toxic Lotus, it is their mechanics. Last year, they were really impressive on the drafts, but then you look at Ace0 and they just outdrafted, like brutally. I'm not joking. It was not pretty to watch. Outdrafted Toxic Lotus every single time. So that is their strength. Now you come up on stage. Do you have ice? Do you have the mechanics to back everything up? If I put you in a 50-50 matchup, will you be able to win it? My money is 100% on Humble in that regard.
Just in their match now against Bounty Hunters, I actually preferred their draft more often than not, honestly. But as you said, the mechanics need to be right as well. And they're also, for the first time on a stage like this one, so the nerves probably got to them. We want to have a quick look also at our bingo. A few of those fields are already filled in.
Okay, the 29 gem spawn in one game of gem grab. Semantic gets the crowd going. Glad we got that one in early as well. Doug drafted as well, was ticked off too. So still some there up for grabs. I'm still holding back my very best in some of my favorite quotes. Is there anything that you're specifically looking for in this bingo card ready?
Okay, I'm looking at the desk misses all predictions. I blame you, Ark, for
Sorry.
withholding that from everyone. Yeah, can't you just be like everyone else?
I know, right? That's on me, man. That's on me.
I'm looking at the top right corner. Underdog beats a favorite to win it all. This would be such a match, honestly. We are not biased. We are living for the storyline, so I want A0 to win this one just for the story, but they're the obvious underdogs in this one, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough affair. It really is. And Humble, I've got to say, though, I feel like there is a world, I was saying this to Frank last night, I think there is a world for me where they actually don't make top 3 in this competition, potentially. That's getting ahead of myself, but you know, I wouldn't mind seeing an upset early on day one. Global bans are in Kit, Mortis, Naja, and Pierce. Definitely the Kit ban, I think, is very warranted. Glad to see the Mortis ban. How do you feel about the Pierce ban? I mean, that to me screams targeting towards Humble specifically.
Yeah, basically, because Humble's approach to this pretty consistently has been, okay, well, we're just going to do like the usual stuff. We're not going to get creative. We're not going to reveal anything for the later stages, because think about the different goals of these teams. Humble, they are gunning for day 3 right now. They're thinking about winning the entire thing. Ace0 are just fighting for survival. So the different approaches here, Humble will be trying to get rid of any like troll picks that could make the draft go awry, and Ace0 are saying, come on, like, take us seriously, respect us, don't just stick to the safe stuff.
Honestly, seeing that poll, it really just hurts to see only 9% have voted for A0 to win this one. This is your time to shine, honestly, A0. If you want to cause an upset, you can do that now. And I hear they're ready backstage, so Barney, take it away.
The battle to stay alive in this competition has just shifted onto the shoulders of another team. It is time to pull out all of the stops, so expect fireworks. Berlin, it is time for A0 to go up against Humble! one match remaining in Group A. One team seeks to dominate while the other is fighting for survival. Humble are looking to continue an undefeated run in the Brawl Cup period, including last year, where Ace Zero seriously need to pull something out of the bag right here, right now. Like our desk have said, this could be one of the biggest upsets that we have seen on the main stage for a very long time. And so, will our reigning champions humble their opponents, or will the dominating team from mainland China find an ace up their sleeve? I'm allowed to tell dad jokes. I'm a dad. Let's do this!
Boss. Cementech. Lukey. Galaxy. Naji. David.
Insane intro by Barney, I must say. I'm glad he said it, as he said. He's
There's
allowed to
only
do
room for
so.
one
He's
boomer
a
on the
dad.
desk.
No dad jokes on the desk, please. Even though you kind of look like bring your son to work right now.
Yeah. Hey, son.
Cheers.
We're heading straight into the draft of our very first map here. And we have Bridge 2-4, another heist map. And whenever I see heist, my mind immediately goes to that one brawler, Chuck. We haven't seen him too often in the past. Either he's banned out, or a lot of teams seem to believe you can actually counter him quite nicely. Humble is one of those teams. Let's just leave him open because we know just what to play against him.
But the Otis ban is kind of like the answer to the Chucks. That's where Ace Zero's head is at. But I think the Cordelis is still a very good option. Or just go with the same strat and just overthrow by rushing. The cars are coming in for that very reason. Melody is also potentially open to join that kind of mix. And Crow as well is a big one that isn't banned here.
Just have to think about how you are going to defend against this Chuck, or possibly hammer down so much damage on the enemy safe that it won't matter at all, pretty much. I once again see the same stuff that I expected to see from Humble, where they just leave the best stuff open and let the draft play out exactly as it would, I suppose, in a ranked game. Basically, you give them a free Chuck, and Ace Zero go, well, shoot, I guess we gotta take it. And now things are playing exactly as Humble had planned.
I always like to describe Chuck as a timer. Eventually, he will get some safe damage done. You can either completely counter him out, and Cordelis is the best one to do so. Just take him into the Shadow Realm whenever he's unsafe, and you're gonna get rid of him. Or you completely ignore the Chuck. That's not the route Humble decided to go with, and out-damage him. Do damage quicker than the timer will do, that Chuck will do. We now have an Ember and Ruffs on the right-hand side. Do like it, especially with that Ruff Street. Chuck is gonna do even more damage.
I mean, Ruffs as well is going to take some time to do that, and Chuck is designed to want to get things done quickly. I kind of feel as well like there's definitely a potential here for Eve. It's not the strongest, but it's definitely a brawler which is going to be quite catered towards this kind of map layout with the bans that we've got. There's limited kind of options now, really, for Humble. Brock for the break gives them a bit of a few options there in that regard.
I think you should be able to outrange that Amber. I think you should be able to deal with the Ruffs bags quite efficiently. I don't like, I don't mind it.
And now we want to hear two of the most beautiful voices I know. Kenny and Trev, take it away.
Thank you very much, Sonny. I appreciate that, and I will make sure Uber and Ready remember that. Trav and I got it from here, though. Ace Zero onto their final life, a region that has been clinging on for several years. The trajectory has been upward, but how long can they keep that streak going? Humble, on the other hand, have been here before. 2 drop sets in total 1 year ago when they took the throne on the global stage. They're trying to do so once again. It's going to be Humble versus Ace Zero, match 3 of the group.
Yeah, David managing to push that first pole quite far up, so won't have to navigate quite as far for the next couple. Uses a super there as well just before he died, and a 3% little tick shot just goes onto the safe there as well. Lukey going to be able to pick up that kill on Galaxy, and it's pretty much 50-50 so far, but David not got the worst setup at the moment.
Lukey taking advantage, so Lightning's going to strike on the right-hand end. Meanwhile, Ace Zero recovering David up the gut. Boss right in his face, and it's a trade. That's totally fine. Boss's main objective is just to 1v1 this Chuck and make sure they remove him from the equation.
I mean, Luki doing all he needs to do. Win that lane, get some damage on safe. That's going to be tough for Nagi to do a lot about. And he places some sandbags up. He still gets the shot round it. I don't know how he's getting those kills. 1% done here by A0. And Luki will get the first crack.
Oh, and some unbelievable mechanics overall. Like you alluded to, the little corner peek out of Luki to get around these sandbags, and then Semantic just popping off in the middle. Kaze, especially from this distance, should be rendered useless, but instead, it's Amber just trying to fire fuel her way up the map. Semantic just taking him head on and still winning this. 2 extra shots coming in from Luki too. I mean, this has been a one-way train. It's all Humble.
I mean, Boss walking in the straight line too, getting that 50%. Unfortunately, not there for the defense, so a bit of chuck damage comes along the way. Nagi gonna throw down that super on top of himself, does make a connection with Semantic, and that allows Galaxy to come up through this mid. Chuck back again. This is what he's gonna be doing for the rest of the game now. But Luki's gotta get that damage output down and match what the Chuck's doing.
They gotta be careful. They are starting to exchange a lot more damage. A0 starting to squeak away with some. Sandbags going down to Semantic, gonna be forced into the alternate form. Boss going for just pure DPS at this point, which is a little wild. They need to be careful, otherwise it's gonna be a smidge of a comeback, but just 1 tier left to go.
I mean, Luki's back on the map. Nobody's even contested him because Boss stayed alive for so long. Luki finds the final kill, and the first game goes convincingly Humble's way. Chuck back and forwards, just being dealt with by the Cordelias time and time again, and Luki popping off on the right.
I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't nervous for A0 coming into this. I mean, regardless of what that previous match result was, Humble were going to be my pick. But I felt like there were a lot of riddled with mistakes, if you will, in Gym Grab, especially in Heist on the previous one, and A0 here. I don't think mistake-driven, just more or less Humble are outplaying them by a mile. Oh, and the instant wipe on the right-hand side. Now that's just free access to the safe and so much damage. While Boss doesn't do a lot in tandem with Semantic, it's going to be enough for their while.
Yeah, big surprise play from Semantic there in the realm as David doesn't even go up yet. Boss just brings him into that realm, sits up top, waits for his teammates to join him, and Semantic got free roam up towards the safe too. The second tick already done, and I don't think Chuck's even set up anywhere near yet.
Humble masterclass. David getting some chip dimension, but it's just not enough in the faces of something like Semantic, who's dancing his way around Colonel Ruffs. Finally, a shutdown. Luki once again letting it rain down the left-hand side as Galaxy dodges it all. Now the fire raining down on the left as well as Semantic creeps his way back up. Still a dominant lead. I mean, A0 had yet to really encroach on the enemy side.
I mean, they just sat back. Nagi there didn't even...
David's still lurking on this bottom side, though, but over on the top is where all the action is at. Down below, and now piercing through that high safe. Luki trying to do his best. Boss penetrating as well. Shots going through, down to less than 10k HP on that high save. A few extra percentage points. Boss gonna try and finish it off himself. Can't quite polish it, though.
I don't know how Boss is avoiding all these shots. He's staying alive with 2 of them shooting him. Semantic will throw out the fan storm, and that's the set done. Humble did drop a set in the previous, but this one coming swinging to try and get this done fast.
They just look unfazed so far, unperturbed by the opposition. Chinese mainland, a team that in general we're going to be looking out for. Toxic Lotus tomorrow, of course, were stars of this last year, but right now for a roster that doesn't have any international LAN experience either, it's really tough to go up to a #1 from another region in Bounty Hunters, which I thought they played really well, but again, I think it could have been better. It just felt like the mistakes were what drove them out of that Gym Grab set. Ark talked about it in the desk, we were talking about in the green room. I mean, the Kaze plays towards the end of that game. There was a real chance that went to a 2-2, and instead, now they're fighting for their lives against Humble. That's not a position you want to be in. At this point, if you're a fan of the smaller regions, of the underdogs, you need to get up and chat. This squad needs your help.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I think all of us, except from Ark, had A0 to beat Bounty Hunters, so it's not like we don't think they're capable. They're absolutely capable of getting this done, but it just seems like Humble are just a task too tall for them to be able to beat at the moment. Stats-wise, Semantic, Boss, and Luki all looking pretty good, around 5. Over the other side, good kills, just not great damage.
You saw Chuck on the bottom right with a ton of high safe damage, but cumulatively between the other two, just next to nothing. It was really forced to be all defense from there, and I think ideally Amber can play a little bit of a hybrid right, but if you're not getting to the other side at all, Chuck alone was not enough into the monstrous composition of the left-hand den.
I mean, it's a first pick that you feel like you're kind of inclined to take, especially when you want to be base racing your opponents like they do in a matchup like this. And I said it when Humble played their previous game against Bounty Hunters as well. You've got to take these brawls that can just get towards safe. Take risks with these drafts. And that's exactly what they did, but they were just punished so heavily for it. Bans in for the next map. It's going to be the Bell, the Crow, and the Byron to the side of Humble. A0 get rid of the Kaze. No surprise after facing it so heavily last game. They double ban the Bell and add a Colette to the mix as well.
Several lines of thought here I think you can go down. There's going to be this Leon and Jean interaction. Leon a lot of times is an early one because of the lollipop drop, but if you do that, then Jean responds. So sometimes you're going to see players avoid doing that. Very popular brawler. Lumi is somebody that I'll shout out as well. Doesn't make the global ban stage. It's a very safe one that's now showing up regularly on this map. And as well, I said it earlier, but Fang shows up a lot for A0. They they love getting a little tricky with it of the tank of choice on this map.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can get away with Fang at the moment. You know, so strong on certain maps. Jae-Young, obviously, being this first brawler that comes in for Humble, it was something we saw them play in. I believe it was Knockout the last time they were out here. And it's a brawler that translates well across kind of the bounty knockout game modes where you've kind of got to be offensive and defensive and just balances it so well with his kit. Glowy going to make an appearance there along with the Gene, kind of a little bit of a double healer combination here if you run in those healing factor from the Gene. Going to be able to get a lot of pulls, you know, with the mass range and scout out as well.
This is definitely a good, solid shout because Bell is banned. Otherwise, the bounce shot would do really well into Glowy, who attaches himself to teammates. Gene, who likes to stay up close too. So that's not the easy answer anymore. Byron is somebody that's also out. It would have done really well into the healing of Glowy, the magic puffs from Gene. So I don't think there's any easy answer here for the left-hand side. I think at least A0 are making him think about it.
Well, as Meeple, a brawler you've mentioned a few times over the past couple of series, I like it a lot. If you can kind of single a brawler out, you know, whether that be Glowy, the Gene, it's going to be tough for them to stay alive if you've got a super along with it as well. And, you know, there's always a chance they run that rage quit if something aggressive comes down as the final brawler for A0. When you've got kind of two brawlers with healing capabilities, it's always a question of whether that's going to be the case or not. So Meeple's mentioned rage quit, whatever you want to go, Meeple's got it.
The cutoff is so good, and Humble demonstrated this earlier. I mean, that gadget can be a very powerful force to give yourself positioning. Gus going to be the choice for the left-hand end as well. It's going to give them a little outrange. Glowy, of course, once he attaches in the open space, is going to do very well. But if Gus can just keep his distance, keep firing shots down, maybe cycle out the kooky popper a little bit, I definitely think it's a threat.
Well. Frank gonna come in there as the final pick for A0, and I've said it so many times, you've got to bring in these unpredictable brawlers, and I said, you know, it's likely we're gonna see something aggressive coming down when you've got the Gene and the Glowy, who are so capable of healing, and they have that range covered as well. But I wouldn't have said Frank could be my tank of choice.
I was saying that they just love to get creative with the tanks that they choose, and the one issue that I see on this left-hand side, we've got Meeple, Jae-Young, and Gus. While they all have solid to mid-range, this was a common theme that I've seen in drafts overall. If you don't have the damage to match and you play it right, you can really go at the enemy side and just absorb all those shots. Even if Frank's going down, as long as Gene's falling through and Glowy's throwing through, it's going to be enough. You're going to see it now. An attachment of that right-hand side. Full-on healer mode. A full going through for David. Ooh, excellent execution early.
Can't keep him alive there, no matter what heals you've got with Jae-Young. David, Galaxy, and Nagi all just going to sit on this right-hand side and have a wonderful time healing each other. Going to be tough to pitch this one in, but they're trying to do their best with Boss round the top, throwing out these slipstreams, getting his speed going. And Nagi falling fairly low, but David still sitting quite nicely. And oh, just about gets the rage quit, and Semantic might be able to stay alive here. I was about to say he got two, and there's the pull, but wall broken, which I feel gives Humble a better chance.
Fun strategy coming out of A0. It's just barbaric. Now they're going to be going at Boss, who uses the hypercharge just to stay alive. What attack from Lukey, the sharpshooter on Pierce. Gus, it does not matter. Put it in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to not only keep these out of position, but hold them off when they want to come aggressive as well. Almost finds it with the Weekend Warrior. David trying to get some work done. There's the Kooky Pop coming in as well. Brings David low, but who's low anymore? He's got so many heals in his back.
Notice how Humble are playing around the gadget pop from Frank. Once that misconnects, it's an onslaught. Humble are now marching forward. Super dropped on the ground. Lukey has a hypercharge in his pocket as well. Now it's A0 just on the backlines. They have plenty of HP. They've got the heals going down, but they have to find a way to extend. They are down the blue star after all.
I was going to say, bear in mind, Humble don't even need to aggress, but they felt they were going to get pushed back into spawn. There's a brilliant pull. Boss goes down as well, and A0 have a great comp and a wonderful answer to Humble, it seems.
Little surprise attack here as now David once again goes to the back lines. About 30 to go. Humble are going to have to find an answer down the 4. Nothing to slouch at, but 1 kill on Frank would be enough.
It's close, they're getting low. There's the hypercharge on the right side. Massive pinch coming in. Semantic gets one, but there's still 2 down. There's the Frank super as well, but the rage quit stops it in its tracks. Nagi low, but David's tanking. There's the pull in. Semantic gets another super down. They're going to be able to shoot through. Frank solo and falls. Blue Stars Humble's way, and they'll find another one too. 14 to Humble as they find the comeback.
Photo finish. A0 so close. Starting to make me regret a little bit talking them down a little earlier. Again, this is a good team, a bright future, a high ceiling. But unfortunately, they may have found it too late. They're now tasked with taking on Humble, who somehow, someway, always find a way to squeeze through on this land stage. Boss early on, grabbing this blue star, right-hand side flank. Walking David forward is his teammate, Glowy in the back lines. Not interested in getting kills, just slowly trying to get that supercharge. The tandem of a Frank pull, a Gene pull. There's just so many options for comebacks here from A0 or some proactive takes as well.
Yeah, great super again from Semantic. Oh, hits that pull. Can he get it? The Rage Quit just clips him on the edge and stops that super. He's having a few difficulties with that through this set. David not finding those supers. When he did, it was flying. There's super as well, straight through. Weekend Warrior gets some good damage, but David will survive. Live to fight another day with some big heals in his back once more.
Retreat coming out of the red side. A missed pull once again, and Lukey smells the blood in the water. Boss activating speed. Hypercharge going down. A little extra party up the middle of the map as now the pull doesn't go through. They can peek through the walls. David left all alone, and Humble know better. No sense in pushing when they've got the lead.
Pinned in the top right corner now. David with no heals for the first time in a while, but Nagi low through the mid. Galaxy as well, and he gets some heals, but not quite nearly enough. Boss through the mid. Slipstream's being provided. No heals at the moment, but his teammates are looking quite healthy as it is. David so low with the Cuckoo Popper, almost finishing him off. There's the Hypercharge coming down the right side, and they've got another one as well. But Semantic uses one of his own.
Oh, and this is such a tough beat. Misses the gadget, misses the pull. Rage Quit to push him back as well. Nothing that Chloe can do. He's trying his best, trying to preserve the life of his teammates, but it's not doing good work. Humble are just all over this.
Galaxy has a pull, and it needs to be an influential one. Most likely going to be aiming for Boss, but he's the one with the most movement speed. Super being used there by Lukey, just shielding himself up, trying to wait and stay healthy for these last 20 seconds. Big push coming from A0 as a Hypercharge being popped. David so low already, though. Gets some heals in the back, but Galaxy will fall, and they lose another one of their players. Nagi on the right-hand side. Frank, they can't do it alone. They need their third. They're getting beaten down, and this one is going to be a Humble set.
Creative effort, but not quite enough. A0 are running out of answers. Humble, despite being down early in that game number 1, climbed their way back up. I saw the vision. Just butcher them with health points. Run them down. Not enough connections from the pull from Frank. Not enough heals to go around for the squad, and ultimately that meeple, despite being squishy, the Rage Quit. A perfect answer. They continued to play around this. Every time they were under threat from a super, they would activate Gadget. Every time a pull was missed, that is the time to go. Just some smart, disciplined Brawl Stars at a Humble. A great attempt out of A0, but this is Humble we're talking about. They're gonna need more than that.
I'll say, but you kind of got to think really disciplined Brawl Stars from Humble, waiting for the moment, waiting for that pull to be missed. But you've got to think of the other side as well. Is it kind of lack of discipline from A0 to just be throwing them out, not getting any connections on them, especially when Humble are standing off when you've got it in hand? So it seems a little bit irresponsible on his part to just be throwing those out. He got himself in some really good positions to Frank occasionally, and don't get me wrong, 4 kills, pretty decent for that brawler on this map. But he got himself in so many great positions. But as you said, that Rage Quit gadget shuts it down every single time. Brilliant fast fingers from Semantic, and he was one of the star men on that team.
Yeah, and to be overly picky about all of this, I mean, we're going to be critical, but at this stage, it's just these micro decisions that make a difference. I want to point out, they picked the Frank into the face of Meeple. They picked this early on the Humble side, and they still made it work. Sure, early on, once they weren't used to this, I think there was a little adjustment period where Humble may be caught off guard by this decision as well, but they had a perfect response for it. A0 make this decision, like you said, maybe a little gung-ho with some of these gadgets, these pulls. It's something we've kind of seen all day. They don't feel settled into me. It feels like they have to try and make these big hero plays, and hero plays aren't what they need. They just need to survive, just be the last one standing. Right now, Humble with a 2-0 lead. Certainly boasting themselves, have not been phased so far today. In the face of a serious, I'm sure they're well equipped for this. It's a very popular brawler.
This could well be A0's last hurrah in the Brawl Cup if they don't start to get something going now. Banwise, Lumi, Crow, Colette, no surprises on that side. Ali, Lumi, and Ruffs on the opposing side as well. As you said, Sirius is the first pick. It's a good one, you know, it's versatile. It's going to lob over walls, shoot at good range as well, and I think it's very solid first pick to take here. Over the other side, no surprises again. Chester is one of the brawlers they absolutely love to pick up, that and along with the Ruffs, the Pierce. Ruffs being banned out here, obviously, and Pierce being banned out overall, so it kind of takes away a lot of their kind of comfort picks, I feel, as well.
Despite spawners being on the ground, possibly from Galaxy, I think you gotta grab an anti-tank. So Crow out of the way, Colette out of the way, and eventually you just gotta go for what you think's best on the map. And I think that is the ultimate best decision left. Could go Otis and argue that, but instead it's going to be this combination, and Leon in tandem with it as well. I really like this. The lollipop drop can make him a gym carrier, or if they want to go a more traditional mid or rotate, now they have 2, I would say, solid options at that.
Yeah, I was going to mention Otis as well. It's still very much on the table for A0 too. It's going to be tough to run you know, more aggressive brawlers into this now that they already have the Chester, and still the Otis is on the table too. Leon going to be great to aggress some of these brawlers. You've just got to hope that if you choose to go for the series, he doesn't have many of those shadows stored up, or he's going to have a bit of a tough time breaking through those. It's the Stu. Stu's going to come in then. It's a brawl that I actually really like to see on this map. The mobility is really solid, being able to evade, you know, the Chester supers no matter what it is, or if a Leon's coming towards you, you're going to be able to get away.
Definitely. Stu are very regular on this map as well. There's their flair of a little extra speed too, or wall break if they really want to, but more than likely I think the speed for now, unless a brawler choice changes things up. Mina and Mo I think still on the table for me, as well as aggressive options that can maybe get up in the face of enemy. You can also drop the windmill gadget to kind of prevent these enemy shots coming in, buy yourself time to get to those gyms. Just one way to be kind of semi-aggressive, and there it is right there. You heard his voice.
I was going to say, I loved your shout as well, because we saw David playing it in that previous match against Bounty Hunters, and we were kind of sat in the green room, we were like, oh, David, that's not the super you want to be playing there. So, you know, he had a few mishaps here and there, but hopefully he's going to be able to get something going against Humble here. Yes, it's a difficult team to start a reverse sweep and complete it at that. But Penny rounds out the Humble roster for their brawlers, and I like that as well. The turret is really, really solid.
Anytime you see Sirius, we just have to anticipate that Penny is on the table, especially if it doesn't go through the ban stage. It's been the easiest way, I think, to deal with Sirius. Anytime you see spawners, that's where Penny is going to shine. Also, the control factor as well. Penny can very much play as the midline brawler, while Chester and Leon can be more aggressive on the other side. Ace Zero. First time as a squadron on the big stage, the international level. They are tasked with taking on Humble. Otherwise, their countrymen Toxic Lotus are going to left all alone tomorrow. Brawl Cup spots are on the line. LCQ World Finals. This is something this region needs desperately, and they're going to have to take down the Titans in a reverse sweep if they want a chance.
It was the Chester through the mid. I feel like kind of back in my day, it used to be the Penny that would have played the mid, but you know, times change. David not having the best of times against Semantic here, and I'm not sure if he's got some stored up to try and tank some of this damage, but he doesn't in the end. Nagi is going to fall as well with a big bomb over the top from Lukey. The Gems still sitting comfortably on A0's side though, and Lukey doesn't want to overextend and risk it.
Open season now too, because Lukey has given them less spaces to hide. If they want to go in the grass, they have to retreat all the way to this top left-hand side. You're seeing it with Mo right now. And Boss, of course, has this wall for positioning. The Salty Barrel as well to protect him if Mo decides to dive in. Positioning, control, and now a tournament raining down on them as well. I mean, this is getting more and more difficult.
Semantic almost survived that as well with the help of the Lollipop drop. Galaxy going to come in, but he's got the backup of his teammate there. And the Penny Turret, the Salty Barrel are all waiting too, so anyway, I don't think it's the best moment to have gone in, but worth a try. Nagi, 4 in hand to pick some up along the way there as well, and Semantic with yet another invis kill, just adding more gems to the count of Humble with Luki with 7.
Not the easiest to dive in on, I might add, too, between Salty Barrel and Chester, who does a burst of damage up close, especially with 4 bells in his hands. It's impossible. Invisibility for Semantic is now he's terrorizing the right-hand side, sneaking up all the way. They have no idea where he is, and Nagi just has to back off. 9 gems and close to a 10th. Humble have a countdown.
Yeah, I mean, Semantic goes in, gets the kill, kind of stays a little bit aggressive, but then backs off when they get this 10th hypercharge super from Boss, and a pretty aggressive turret here with no walls covering it, but Semantic's going to go in, get the kill, and I think they're just so confident. He's not even going back to spawn. He's like, yeah, I'll probably stay around the gem carrier. It's like, it's completely fine. Galaxy going to go in on the right-hand side, and that's going to be match point up next to Humble. Just a completely dominating performance from them, and A0 just seemed completely out of it.
A0 have not sniffed the middle of this map. I mean, they have not come close. Humble have just been overpowering, just unbelievably good so far. We saw this last year as well. The group stage, Humble did not drop, I think, a set off the top of the head. I mean, it was a pretty smooth sailing effort for them, but if they win just one more game, they're already instantly in day number 3 for EMEA fans at home. That is a big deal for your spots.
Absolutely, yeah, again, a great start from Humble. First gem spawns on their side, and they get one of their opponents as well. Gadget came through and looking at a little bit of a spawner on him for a second there, but Nagi on the right-hand side, now pinching through the mid, gives him a bit of a chance to fight off against Luki and gets some great hits in, but he's not going anywhere. He joins in death. Galaxy with a wasted super, he gets the kill. I feel like there's just so many times where he's making these mistakes. Almost went for the gems there, but Semantic will clean it up, and eventually they're back in the hands of Luki.
Yeah, I'll stand by the word gung-ho. Just doing a little too much, I think, trying to make too much happen. I don't know if that's a lack of experience, a lack of confidence. I mean, Humble are a team that are mighty fierce to play against. I don't fault them for that at all. As Semantic now in the bushes. Oh, and David didn't have a clue. Dropped the trap immediately, though. Well played. The Chester spawners end up doing a ton of damage.
Yeah, Nagi trying to make the move around the right-hand side now. Boss might be able to clip him here, but he gets a kill. And this is the best we've seen A0 play. The Lukey finds one on the right, and the bomb comes over the top. Good amount of spawners in now as well, with a couple of Leons around David. So ready to defend out against Semantic if he gets that impact.
Interesting to see David retreat every single one of these spawners. He just knows Penny's going to be able to eradicate every single one of them, as now Stu has to back off. Semantic once again invisible. The mind games begin. Left-hand side, creeping forward, popping up right in front of Galaxy's face. A response as well, though it's going to be a close call. On the right-hand side, David expanding, knows he has to make up for the room.
7-7, so gem-wise, it's a pretty even game, but I just feel like Case Zero has so much more risk, especially when Galaxy doesn't have a super, and he used it so defensively. David on the right-hand side doing a much better job now, but Semantic coming in with the hypercharge, finds one, might be able to get two, clips David with a couple of shots around the side, and he goes down, cycles the super, and it's all Humble once more.
15 on the clock. Ace Zero hopelessly on the back of their spawn. Semantic playing bodyguard, and the crowd chanting everything you need to know. This is a name that you will remember, one that will be here all weekend long. Just another day for Humble. Your Brawl Cup defending champions are going for two.
Ace Zero falls short in the Brawl Cup. Honestly, it's not the easiest group having the defending champions in there, and they played very well against Bounty Hunters, but as expected, it's going to be Humble coming out of this group on top, and they're looking to try and retain their title of Brawl Cup champions, and they probably should.
The home team advantage for Humble. Excellently done. Ace Zero with an excellent effort, but just too much and too late. Let's go down to Humble to see what they've got to say.
Congratulations once again, Boss, the big man. It's safe to say, we spoke about this a little bit before, right? Was it about focusing on your player style coming into this game, or was it about trying to adapt to the way that they played? How do you feel you guys adjusted when you were going up against Ace Zero?
I think we made a bit of mix. We try to play our comforts always, but being careful about their picks too, because they are really good on them. So we adjusted and it worked out.
It worked out. It definitely did. You guys look really comfortable on stage as per usual. Now, I have to ask you something. You've got a little bit of time now between now and Championship Sunday. You guys are going to have a little break. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this little rivalry that's forming between you guys and Crazy Raccoon, all right? It's amazing to see. The Brawl Stars community loves it as well. Are you kind of keeping a close eye on how they're playing, and do you feel like you guys are ready to exact some revenge on Sunday?
I think we are ready to every single team. We are going to prepare for everyone, and we are not scared of any team.
I love that. And finally, Semantic, I'll quickly ask you something. Is there anything that you would like to say to the home crowd here in Berlin? Because what an incredible place to be for you guys, especially being on home turf.
I mean, we literally only see Humble posters, Humble fans screaming everything. It is absolutely amazing to have everyone here. Literally, from the bottom to the top area, absolutely amazing. I hope you guys are here on Sunday with all the Humble merch, all the Humble support, and see you guys there. Dankeschön.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for Humble!
Humble does it again, 2-0 in their group. Just like we expected, kinda. And a bit unexpected for me, A0 is actually the team that we unfortunately have to say goodbye to already. Ark, you were the only one to vote for Bounty Hunters from the casting desk. Must feel good, buddy.
I'm not going to rub it in just yet. There'll be plenty of time over the next 3 days for me to do just that. But, you know, to be honest, this was the two teams in this group that I was 50-50 on a little bit.
Yeah.
Just speaking to a couple of players and just hearing a couple of the experiences during scrims as to whether Ace Zero were going to be able to put up the fight. We're not necessarily expecting them to be humble, but I think against Bounty Hunters, that was a 50-50 match.
We have two 50-50s for you today. I'm excited for our next match as well. But before we want to get into this, a bit of a closer look also at the sets we've just seen. Ark, you and me were discussing the Shock quite heftily in the first set, bridge too far. I think we agree that Shock at this point is just not really pick-worthy. Humble showed us that any team really, without countering him too much, can win against him.
At this level, I do have reservations on it. What I did really like to see was how Boss on that Cordelius was actually going on the aggressive the second he put the chuck into the realm. Often you'll see teams that will just sit back and play defense the entire way through, but Boss was using that time really nicely, getting up the map, getting the damage of which they needed, and it was really effective.
It was insane to see Humble's team play overall. They're just playing together so well. Semantic kind of micromanaging his two teammates. We saw some clips of the voice comms as well. But yeah, really doing well. Humble so far 2-0. We're going to see them again on day 3, so don't fret. You will see them again. Earlier, I saw something super weird around here. What was that?
Wakey, wakey! Today is your big day. Are you excited? I'm so excited. Hold the door! It's his first day. Just a little bit of makeup. It will be so great. Hello. Hi. The star is here. Oh. I think we have it. Aren't you pretty? Then that's all. Yeah. Honey, this is it. There's a lot of music and cameras, and I've told them to be very nice and gentle with my little baby.
Oh, a button.
If you put anything in front of me, I'm gonna press it. I'm gonna press it. I'm literally gonna press it.
Whoa. We have no idea what that does.